Yeah, so my name is Vanessa. I'm the founder of the Female Pleasure Society. I think, I'm not sure if I have to explain what we're doing, but yeah, we bring female health into Web3, and we did the drop last like 2 weeks ago, and yeah, I'm happy to be here and talk about brand building in Web3 and with so many nice people here.
Okay. I'm Marta for the ones that weren't here at the previous panel, and I'm a community and partnerships manager at MYTOKYBiRD, and MYTOKYBiRD is going to be an NGO marketplace where we want to do all our donations, but not only, also regular just shopping on blockchain, and of course, like anything that you're doing on this website, anything that you're buying is going to be donated to the NGOs that are the partners on our platform. And also tomorrow we are having our NFT drop, so we're also reaching a pretty big milestone for us.
Hi, my name is. Do you hear me? Now? Yes. Hi, my name is Sui Fröhlich, and I started Germany's first NFT art and social project called VISIBLR for Black Indigenous people of color. And we are grantees of the Teasers Foundation. We plan our launch Q1 next year. And next to that, I am in a founding phase with my co-founder to start a consulting and educational business, because this is really, really challenging onboarding people still. So we deserve a huge spot to talk about diversity, but this is not going to be our panel talk, but this is why I started that project as well. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, good morning. I'm not Hartmut, I'm Konstantin. I'm the CEO of Chainstep. We are a small Hamburg-based software development studio with 20 people building blockchain technology since 2018, mostly in more boring industries like logistics, insurance companies, and so on. But about 1.5 years ago, we started Collector.io, which is a platform. It started as a platform for artists and for fans or for collectors to actually buy and sell NFTs without knowledge of crypto. So we have to say we have never sold an NFT with crypto. Everything was purchased by PayPal or credit cards. And now since 1 year, because the demand was so big, we built Collector into a white label solution for brands to issue NFTs, most of them for free, in order to build community and to build loyalty and reward systems.
So thanks for the first kindly words, and maybe we do it that way. I give it back, and that you start with some insights also from that years and experiences from that white label solution, because it's about brand building in a Web3, and it's very important, because when you provide that, the next step is how can you communicate the brand and what's necessary. So let's do it that way. And also, if you have some good examples to share from projects you like, we had it in this panel before, we talked about like some DAOs you like. So also maybe name some brands you like, why you like it, and what you like on the brand building, if you like.
Yeah, great. So as mentioned, a lot of our clients come from industries which are not Web3 native. And that means that for them it is a big question on how do you actually activate the normal current consumers and how you open the Web3 space for them. So it's not about necessarily building communities of people who already know about NFTs. It's about bridging this gap between your normal consumer and the future of communication and community. And one of the areas where we have seen lots of traction in the last half year is sports, or basically everything where you have an emotional event, a physical event today, and where you have already fans which you can activate and carry them over in a digital world, in the metaverse. And this metaverse at the beginning does not necessarily have to be a virtual reality environment. It can just be a very lightweight digital layer to a physical event, providing additional digital value, digital services, and being like the first step towards a metaverse for your normal consumer.
Can't agree more with you, especially for the first time, really. I think you can elegantly capture intangible things like emotions into digital assets. And especially for me, because I don't have a marketing background, neither a business background, neither a brand building background. So why am I sitting here? You might wonder, but I started buying NFTs myself, and I got emotionally so involved that really so my background, I'm a physician, I'm a doctor, and I quit my job to fully engage myself into Web3. And this all led eventually to our project VISIBLR and finding my co-founder, Ursula Wolpe, who, and I really want to showcase that example with FPS, Female Pleasure Society. She is holder of that NFT and became an ambassador. And it's really a great example, since you asked for examples, how you can turn people into not only ambassadors, but catalysts. So you all of a sudden take a very active role. So in Web 2, I consume. If I'm a fan of a product that it's like FPS, like I can buy it, but it doesn't really involve active engagement. And this is really amazing how I myself turn into a Web3 entrepreneur, and my co-founder, who is very, very active in FPS. And and I also had a question, like out of 100 NFTs you sold, how many of them were already in Web3, so Web3 natives, mostly women because you have a female health product, and how many of them are new to Web3. So this is really a new opportunity for brands to make their communities bigger, and especially to keep them.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know, because I don't know them at all. They're anonymously, but in the Discord you see that there are many women who that's their first NFT. And that's why we did it with crypto.com, because it's way easier than just setting up an own wallet. And yeah, I experienced it myself. Like back then when I tried to buy an NFT, I was like, okay, what should I do now? Why cryptocurrency? Oh my God, what is this? And I think that's the difficulty. But I hope as we pivoted now, I hope with the digital access pass, it's way easier, because people, it's like a membership card, and maybe it's also printable. Maybe they get it at home. But it's the technology which is so great, and it's that way they enter a new world. And as you also said, it's like entering a new world and becoming an owner of something, and not only a customer. And I think that's the best way for brands to build in Web3, and for companies to be more than just selling products, because in the end the customer can decide on, for example, with us on new products, on branding, on packaging, on anything, and so it will get the experience they get will be more tailored to their needs, and I think that's a great way.
So as you were talking, I had two interesting points in my mind. So the first thing, of course, from our discussion, like here already I can see very clearly, which also makes me even more confident, that community building is so strongly connected in Web3 with building a brand. And I'm not only talking about now the Bored Apes Club or like the Pixel PFPs. I'm really talking, because I think we should address this audience more, about small entrepreneurs who are trying to build their business. And of course, MyTokYBiRD, we're also in the same kind of situation. We are now building the brand and building the community and releasing our NFTs. And it's so important, because our resources are limited, to smartly connect all these things together. So instead of keeping these things separate, we were like, okay, we will release our NFT collection, but this NFT collection is also connected to how we want to build the overall MyTokYBiRD brand. And on top of that, of course, it will be a basis for our community. But because we're starting with zero brand, we want, for example, to allow our community to name the characters that we're releasing. And also, these characters, they will decide what kind of causes they're going to be representing. Of course, you could name it a gamification, but I rather would like to see it as the way of the community being as the part of us hitting the milestones, of us growing, and therefore also the community being the ones who are building the brand, not us giving the brand to the people there and saying, okay, this is who we are. Because I think that in Web3, it is so much more important to be authentic instead of just giving empty words that people, honestly, like when I see that something sounds very corporate in Web3, probably I'll just scroll further and just ignore that. So this element of authenticity is, I think, very important in building a brand in Web3. So that was one of the points that I wanted to cover, but I think I would like to now give you the voice with your ideas, or maybe you already finished with, yeah? Okay.
It's always good, you know, when you're in the discussion. I don't want to interrupt, so you can continue like this, and because then you can also bring the points you want to bring, and because brand building, as you said, is it corporate language versus Web3 language? What's the audience you want to address? And that's why I ask for examples, because you can have examples in DAOs, you can have examples in big brands. We discussed a lot about Artifact, but there's much more. We can have project discussion here from own insights, and it's up to you what you want to discuss in brand building and want to show to the audience. And I give the word to you that way.
2 points. I think one thing you mentioned, gamification, we see as extremely important, especially for more established brands, because it's an easy way to get engagement. But of course, I totally agree with you what you just said about if something sounds too corporate, because I always try to explain this with the email marketing issue in traditional marketing, because I mean, no consumer wants to give away today their real email because they're afraid of getting spammed. And we have exactly the same issue with in the NFT space, because no one actually wants to engage with large brands if they think it's just a marketing play. So it really needs to add value. It needs to add an additional layer. It needs to build a community, a real community where you actually have engagement, because there are too many projects where you have a Discord server with lots of bots and no one actually talking about meaningful stuff. So it's quite different to traditional marketing, because it actually means that you're not just broadcasting, you also need to listen to the people. You need to listen to your consumers. And that's a chance, but also a big task.
Answering your question about examples, I really like the Tiffany's example. So, as you know, Tiffany's, you can imagine their target group is mostly women from 30 to 50, and mostly women, and they released I think 250 CryptoPunk jewelries, yes. And all of a sudden, not only women from 30 to 50 are buying their jewelry now, even other people who wouldn't have never even buy a piece at Tiffany, all of a sudden, because they are allowed to buy a piece of jewelry, CryptoPunk jewelry, they bought it. So imagine this strategy on other brands. You can even make your customers group or target group bigger, and it doesn't have to be only jewelry. So for me, it was really simple example where Tiffany visualizes, okay, we can reach even more people, and they will buy our physical goods simply because they are holders of digital assets, the CryptoPunk NFTs. So I like to give this example when I'm talking to people, to companies in Web2, because it's really simply explained and a nice showcase. So yeah, I'd like to add that.
So also, besides like the companies building their brand, I think it's important to address your personal brand that you're building in Web3, I really like what one marketing consultant told me one day. Imagine that tomorrow you have no job, like all your projects are collapsing. The last thing that stays is your own brand. And on top of that, if you are building your own business, you are going to rely so much on your personal brand. And it's important to know how to build it with style in Web3, let's put it that way. And I'm coming to the example that I want to bring up. It's about this one person, and she's been a huge inspiration for me ever since I met her. Her name is Daniela Merlano, and she is building a mindfulness Web3 community. She worked with many projects, but all these people have followed her into these projects because they know that she's authentic, that she's truthful about what she's speaking about. And on top of that, she also kind of gamifies her own community and also builds her own brand on creating her own AI NFTs. And I think this was also really amazing what she did. She reached out to all the people that she saw were supporting her throughout her journey, and she made their own personalized AI-based NFTs that are representing your safe space. And then everybody was also posting this around LinkedIn, and this I think was a very smart move. I don't think it was a move, I think it was genuine, but it was still a very good idea to even strengthen even more this idea of her being the voice of mindfulness in Web3. So building your own voice and becoming the thought leader of the causes that you want to represent is very important in Web3. And yeah, like I think this is also a great case study where she used NFTs to also show how mindfulness can be also shown in Web3 without the NFTs, for example, being for financial gain, just for like her being grateful for the people around her. So I think this is also an interesting case study, like case that I saw recently.
Yeah, Marta, I couldn't agree more, because personal branding, I think it's so important, not only for founders or entrepreneurs, I think for everyone, also for employees to like build a brand around it, because if you want to move to another job, it's important that people know what you can do or what you're able to do. And I think Zeneca, for example, is a great example, because he's like sharing his knowledge for free, because he's like into Web3 since, I don't know, many years. And he built a brand around himself, and I think that's the way to go as a founder or entrepreneur. But I wanted to, because you said that marketing in Web3 is different than marketing in Web2, and I'm not sure, is it really? Because I think for example, as an unknown project, which I'm not famous or something, I'm not Randy Zuckerberg, so we had to do any kind of marketing, and we thought about Web2 marketing, which is like email newsletters and influencer marketing and paid ads, which didn't work, obviously, but I'm not sure if it's really that different, because of course it's important to build a brand, and I think it's important to think about that first, but in the end it's providing value and building a business around it, and I think that is not that different than Web2.
I think it's a very interesting point, because I was also wondering myself I was asking myself the same question. I think that it is evolving into being different, because now, of course, we still use a lot of Web2 tools, right? Strategies to grow our brand. But first of all, I think that what is different is how you look professional. Because in Web3, you don't look professional if you use like very formal language. Like you write, for example, #LFG, and then you get like so many, like, you know, like those bigger brands, they get so many replies under these posts on Twitter. So it's not really about being like corporate professional. Here the language changed, and I think that's a very important element of a brand that we should pay attention to, because actually 90% of the interactions that we have are based on content, and it really shapes the mindset of this space. But I think that as, for example, Metaverse grows, I think, and like also we use more NFTs and so on, I think there will be just a bigger variety of promoting your Web3 business, because of course the first people that will be using Metaverse will be probably the Web3 people, right? So there you will be the most likely to find your customers. But it can also happen that in the future even Web2 people will be using Metaverse. So I think it's now not established yet, but in a process of evolution.
And it might start with the same tools when doing marketing, but I think it's a cultural shift that's happening. So we do use newsletters, or we don't use newsletters. I mean, we are using whatever there are, whatever marketing strategies there are today. But we want to form, and there comes community again. A cultural shift happens because, and this is something I can't highlight enough, because everyone is using the word community very, very often, inflationary, but it's a human need, and the utilities and the dynamics of Web3 meet those needs so well. Nothing can transport this need that elegantly like the tools of Web3. So we have to think of the operational layer, in the operational layer, and the mindset, as you said, or cultural layer. So both takes time as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Maybe let me explain a bit better what I meant with the change. So when you, for example, look at traditional sports sponsoring, you have like a logo on a shirt, and the only interaction is the customer or the viewer on television sees this logo, but as a brand you don't have any interaction. Then basically social media introduced a first step where you could actually have a conversation, but honestly on Instagram there is not a conversation between a brand and the consumer. Maybe on Twitter is a bit more conversational. People actually ask and discuss. But I see the big chance with Web3 technology to actually really engage, and not just in a broadcasting way, but actually in this conversational way, including your consumers or turning them into fans, and ideally, of course, into super fans, into ambassadors, however you want to call that. And only then it's a community. Otherwise, it's just a Telegram channel where you broadcast marketing messages.
I really want to also, again, refer to this one thing that you guys were talking about, because I love that you said that it is touching to, like, community is actually a human need, and this is also scientifically proven that there's a certain group of needs, and I think this is why community is such a powerful tool. I don't think it's nice to say it that way, but let me put it that way, that community is such a powerful tool, because imagine that, like, everything is again gone, the people that have built the relationships around your project, they're still going to stay there because they have built memories, they have emotional connection to that, and they feel fulfilled because, for example, some project didn't work out, but they are not left alone. Actually, it happened many, many times that something didn't work out for a certain project, some DAO collapsed or something like this, but people still gathered there and they wanted to find like a solution together. They wanted to fix that problem. So I think this is also like another very important element of the community. Of course, the panel is about brand building, but this is something that I think is also powerful.
And speaking of brand building, so what we didn't mention, so one pillar is community and the other is storytelling. And this is what you just basically said, right? Because even though the product may not exist one day, we still have our experiences together, the storytelling. I mean, how many people will remember your roadmap and that Luna and FTX happened to you? I mean, we will talk about this and we will remember that. So yeah, so I think we should also think about storytelling as a crucial factor in order to become a successful brand in Web3.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the biggest projects like World of Women or BreederDAO Club or whatever, they had like best storytelling because they had like they had a story behind their project and had built a brand. But I'm not sure if like brand building is before creating value for your community. You know what I mean? I think the BreederDAO Club was successful because there was a hype and because everyone bought this ape. And they built the story afterwards, you know? And I think nowadays it doesn't work like that. I think you have to build a brand because I think branding is important and there has to be a story behind your mission and I think customers don't buy products anymore. They buy more than that. They buy
experiences.
Experiences. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. But I'm still not sure if brand building is before creating value or creating it's
I
difficult to
think
explain.
that the brand is the outcome of creating the value.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're completely right. The examples you mentioned were built on a hype, and we have seen exactly the same with the first blockchain hype in 2018, or shortly after the whole thing around ICOs. In these times, you can raise money just with a white paper, but afterwards, you need to provide value. You need to have real traction and not just a shiny idea. And this is going to be the challenge for the companies who want to sustain the next 5 years.
Was amazing. So the panel is so lightning, and you made so much lights to different topics. We have 2 minutes left. Let's ask the audience if they want to add some questions and get some valuable answers. So just raise your hands if you have additional questions. So much insights, no questions. Was too good, huh? Was too good. Then I give you the last words. Like 30 seconds. You want to say something?
Yeah, thank you for letting us do this, and I'm really happy to talk to you, and really happy to talk to everyone after the talk. So thank you, Dennis, for this conference. I think it's really important that we have more of this in Germany. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so what I can say is that 2 weeks ago I said that I really want to join an event that is only like more focused like on the art stuff, like NFTs and the metaverse. And literally like 2 days later, I realized that there is the Berlinverse. So I'm also really glad about that. I think it was also a great session. I had lots of fun, and you guys made me feel very comfortable. Today was my first day to have like such a live speech, so thank you guys for supporting me. And yeah, and just let's gather later, have some chats, right? Also with you guys and like with the people here, and let's keep brainstorming, right? Let's keep building, how people like to say that.
So what I like to say or share is that Web3 is really, really disruptive. I can see it in my life. So 2 years ago, I would have been working in the hospital right now here in Berlin. And now I'm doing art, I'm consulting, I teach, and it really changes our biographies, and maybe overnight or within 2 weeks. And I just see it as an opportunity, as scary as it is sometimes. So I stay optimistic.
Yeah, it is scary, and one thing I wanted to highlight at the end is, because it was mentioned, emotions are important, community is important. So I think although the event today is around metaverse, we still should always think how we can connect metaverse to actually the real world, because the real world is where the real people are. And this will always still matter in the next at least 15 to 20 years. I don't want to make a prediction beyond that, but it will still matter.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Let's give an applause, and it was great.